Coming up on your latest edition of the Hawkeye Sports Report, as the season winds down for the women's basketball team, Thursday will mark senior night for the three seniors. We'll hear from them and get their thoughts as they look back at what has been a very successful career here at Iowa. Both gymnastics teams hosted ranked teams in Carver Hawkeye Arena over the weekend and walked away with big wins. We'll have their reaction coming up. And could the men's basketball team right the ship against Purdue after a heartbreaking loss at Nebraska? Highlights, reaction, and more coming up on the Hawkeye Sports Report. Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for the Hawkeye Sports Report. This season has been a season of what-ifs and close calls for Fran McCaffrey's squad. After a heartbreaking loss at Nebraska over the weekend, the Hawks have 3 of their final 4 games of the regular season at home. And if they want any chance of having an outside shot at the NCAA tournament, protecting the home court is a must, and that all started Wednesday night against Purdue. Matt Nelson has highlights and reaction.
Iowa and Purdue doing battle for the second time this year. Would the shooting performances be as ugly this time as they were for both teams in the first contest? After a rough stretch earlier in the Big Ten season, Dev Marble with the solid stretch over the last 5 games. Marble on the break, ahead to Aaron White for the bucket and the foul. White with 18 on the night. With Mike Gazelle injured and not in uniform, Josh Oglesby gets the start, and here he finds Marble for 3 of his 18 points on the night. Anthony Clemens just into the lineup, and he makes a huge play defensively with the steal and the impressive jam for the freshman. Gabe Olashaney saw 19 minutes of game time Wednesday, and he takes it right at the Boilers in the post right here. And how about Mel Sambasabi, some of his post moves? Late in the second half, Oglesby with a dagger from long range. That gave the Hawkeyes a more comfortable lead of 9. Then, in the last minute, Eric May with the huge block. Iowa shoots just 31% from the field, but the Hawks get a much-needed win over Purdue, 58-48.
We out-rebounded them. I mean, that's one area that they usually out-rebound people. I mean, that's Matt's staple. You know, they usually win the rebounding battle and they win the turnover battle. Okay, we won them both. So I think you could say that's why we won.
We showed a lot of heart. That was a tough loss. Leading by so much and losing by so little. It's always tough to lose like that, but a strong team will bounce back. And I think we showed that tonight. We locked into the game plan. We were very focused during the scout, during film sessions. So I'm just proud of the guys, really.
Where we're at right now in this position, we got to win every game, you know, because we need wins now to put on our resume. So, you know, losing is just not an option at this point.
Every game is a big game now, so we just take it one game at a time. This was important, especially coming off that tough loss the other day. So this was a big one for our confidence and going into the next one in the outfit that we have to go to. So
at Carver, Matt Nelson, Hawkeye Sports Report.
On the women's side of things, they'll play their final home game of the regular season Thursday night against Indiana. That game will mark senior night as the team will honor 3 seniors, all of who have been through plenty of ups and downs as a Hawkeye, but are all very proud to have spent the last 4 years in Iowa City.
Being an Iowa Hawkeye has meant so much to me, not only just as a basketball player, but as a person, and getting to know the people around me and getting to realize this community and just being a part of this community for 4 years. I think that's what has meant the most to me.
All 3 have been 3 of the most blessed girls on this earth, and just knowing that like we can have such an influence on the people around us just because of where we've been placed in our lives. And I hope that we can leave that legacy of just always caring about other people and just working hard and just not focusing on ourselves but on others.
First of all, my time here at Iowa has been an absolute blast. I've got to do so many fun things and meet so many awesome people, and my teammates will be my lifelong friends. I mean, I don't think we'll ever not be close, and it's just been an absolute blast and has taught me so much about life, and just not basketball.
The team will close out the regular season this weekend, and then they will learn where they will land in next week's Big Ten tournament. Let's now check out this week's Plays of the Week.
This week's Hawkeye Sports Report Play of the Week comes from the first game of Iowa's trip to the Bama Bash in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Trailing Winthrop 2-1 going into the 7th and final frame, Iowa tied the score. And that's when head coach Marla Looper put the squeeze on. Brady Wall drops down the bunt, Ashley Akers scores, and the Hawks win. A walk-off winner for the Hawkeye Sports Report Play of the Week.
What a weekend it was in the world of gymnastics for both the men's and women's teams, both hosting ranked opponents in Carver Hawkeye Arena and both walking out with big-time wins. The men's team ranked number 8 in the country knocked off number 10 Nebraska 427.5 to 425.4. Iowa claimed 5 event titles against the Huskers, with Javier Balboa taking first in the all-around. The win was Iowa's 3rd straight dual win of the season. For the women's team, they put together a very impressive meet, hitting 24 of 24 routines en route to knocking off previously undefeated and 12th ranked Minnesota.
It's been a hard week, or midterms, and we had an unfortunate injury last night in practice, so coming in today, a little somber, a little tired, but I am so proud of my team, and being able to dig and dig and dig and make sure they came out with the win. That's what you need going into championship season.
We came in here knowing that we can still beat them regardless of the rankings, and like I told one of the reporters earlier this week, rankings don't matter because they're not that far of a distance between 12th and 26th like we were. And it's just a really great feeling. We've worked so hard in the gym, and from the issues we had with beam last weekend, and to come back with a 6 for 6 on beam, adding a new person, taking on a person, it shows how much we're really improving, and it's awesome. It's a great feeling. Minnesota's a big competition for us. They've always been, and it's really awesome to be able to beat them. And even when it was it's probably gonna be the biggest upset of this weekend, so it's really exciting, and yeah, it gives us a lot of confidence.
This is an exceptionally talented Minnesota team, and I have the utmost of respect for them. So it just makes it a little bit sweeter at home, in front of our home fans, to have defeated Minnesota, especially because the boys did it too the week before. So it's exciting. It's been a long time since the men and women have both beaten Minnesota, and it feels great.
We're still just trying to etch in that 196, and we're just missing it a little bit every time, little things here and there. We had a couple of mistakes on beam, we had a couple mistakes on bars and vault and floor. It's just little things that would have easily added up to that 196. So I think we'll get there, and I think it'll come soon. That's really all there is. It's nothing big. It's not like we're worried about falls or stuff like that. It's just the little things, the pointed toes, the perfectly stuck landings, and I think we're right where we need to be contenders for Big Tens.
I think that the one thing that has kind of eluded them so far is that one win, the significant win. And for them and for us as a coaching staff, I think this was that one. And to show that they are capable, it doesn't matter the ranking, anything can happen on any given night. And they proved that to me.
It's great to be an Iowa Hawkeye!
The softball team had a big weekend on their hands as well, as they traveled down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where they faced the #1 team in the country twice on the weekend. While the Hawks fell to the Crimson Tide both times, they defeated Winthrop 2-1 and 7-1, and also beat Western Illinois 12-4. Johnny Dowling, Chelsea Lyon, and Kayla Massey all were named to the all-tournament team for the Hawkeyes, who are now 10-5 on the season. Let's now check out this week's Players of the Week.
This week's Hawkeye Sports Report Player of the Week is men's gymnast Javier Balboa. Balboa led the 8th-ranked Hawkeyes to a win over 10th-ranked Nebraska Saturday. Balboa won the all-around title with a total score of 85.900. Javier Balboa, this week's Hawkeye Sports Report Player of the Week.
The road to the NCAA Women's Final Four begins in Iowa City, and you can be a part of the action, cheering for every dazzling dish.
Nice no-look underneath.
And watching the big shots fall.
Nothing but net.
Experience it live at the first and second rounds of the 2013 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship.
When you're hot, you're hot.
March 24th and 26th at Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City, Iowa. Adult all-session tickets start at $25. Visit ncaa.com/tickets to make a date with champions.
And how about head coach Steve Houghton's men's tennis team? They've won 6 of their last 7, and he really likes where this team is headed as they prepare for Big Ten conference play.
The Big Ten season is largely played in April, but we actually play Illinois on Friday, and then we play Northwestern on March 10th. Then it's spring break, and then the rest of the Big Ten season is all in April. But it's an unbelievably strong conference in tennis. It's something that's probably not well known, but Ohio State is in the top 3 or 4 in the country. Illinois won a national title a few years ago. They'll be a very strong test. And every match in the Big Ten is a tough one, but especially the top like 5 or 6 teams are very strong teams at a national level.
And the women's swimming team set 4 different school records up at the Big Ten Championships in Minneapolis over the weekend. They set the school records in the 200 medley relay, the 800 freestyle relay. Emily Hovren set the school record in the 200 IM. And on the final day in the 200 back, Lindsay Seaman also set a school record. Finally, let's take a look at who will be in action in Hawkeye athletics coming up over the next week. As we said, the women's basketball team will honor the senior class Thursday night against Indiana. That game will tip off at 7 p.m. in Carver Hawkeye Arena. It will also be Fan Appreciation Night. Be sure to get there early to sign up for plenty of prize giveaways that will take place throughout the night. Thursday will also mark the second day of the men's Big Ten Swimming and Diving Championships in Bloomington. The championships will run through Saturday evening. Friday, the softball team will kick things off in Fullerton, California. They will take on Oregon State, Stanford, Cal State Fullerton, and Cal Bakersfield over the weekend. Baseball, they were forced to move locations of their tournaments due to weather. They will now head down to Arkansas Little Rock. Well, they will face Arkansas Little Rock, Western Illinois, and Wichita State over the course of Friday through Sunday. The men's tennis team will travel to Illinois Friday evening for a 6 p.m. contest. They will then be back in Iowa City Sunday to take on Dartmouth at 10 a.m. Saturday, men's basketball will face the top team in the land, Indiana, on the road. That game will be televised on the Big Ten Network and will tip off at 6:30 p.m. Also on Saturday, men's gymnastics will look to improve their win streak to 4 when they travel north to Minneapolis to take on Minnesota at 7 p.m. On Sunday, women's basketball will close out the regular season with a road game at Northwestern. That game will tip off at 2 p.m. Following the game, the tournament bracket will be released for the Big Ten tournament, which will kick off next Thursday in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. On Monday, women's gymnastics will head to Lincoln to take on Nebraska at 6 p.m. And on Tuesday, both women's tennis and men's basketball will host home events in Iowa City. Women's tennis takes on Nebraska at 3:30, and men's basketball hosts Illinois at 6:06 p.m. in Carver Hawkeye Arena. That game will be televised on the Big Ten Network. That's all for this week's edition of the Hawkeye Sports Report. Be sure to check back next week for more highlights, reaction, and upcoming events in Hawkeye athletics. Have a great weekend.